Hi, so if you're new to my channel, you're very welcome. My name is Yongo and this is Yorozia Yoyo, my YouTube channel, where I am going to share in this video some updates on weeks 2 and 3 of the Live Like challenge that I started for the month of November. So if you're new here, welcome. The Live Like challenge, and also just to recap, right? So the Live Like challenge is a challenge in personal development that I decided to design for myself, where I take various interests, roles, um, likenesses, as I'm calling them, and try to live that like that for 30 days. And in these videos, these weekly update videos, I try to give some information or some summaries of the highlights of that week, the challenges, and things I'm looking forward to in the coming week, right? And so I decided to make a compilation video of week 2 and 3, just to kill two birds, 2 weeks with one stone. And yeah, so let's go into it. After recapping, right, what the Live Like Challenge is, I'm going to now talk about some of my highlights from the last couple weeks. I may forget some, and probably in edit, I will just like type them and they'll appear here like magic, okay, or something like that by the end of this. So I'm going to try to keep the video short in any case. So some highlights about weeks 2 and 3 were at church, I listened to a homily, right? That I felt was quite in alignment with one of the likenesses that I'm living, which is the interior designer. And it was the priest gave a homily basically about how we are temples of God, and we should, live in such a manner that is a reflection of this identity as being temples of God, right? And I thought that was quite in alignment with the interior design likeness, because the idea of designing a space to express oneself, to serve a certain purpose. And for me, the purposes that I want my inner space, like my interior space, to serve, like the room at my parents' home. I'm not at my parents' home today, but that's besides the point. The purposes I want that interior space to serve are, I want it to be for love, for leisure, and for labor. These are three things that I learned. I'm basically stealing Father Mike Schmitz's words when I say this, but it's just such a nice little, neat little summary of the purposes for a human being's life. And so when I think of my room, I want it to be a space where I can serve these purposes, right? When I talk of love, like how I can show hospitality rather to anyone who comes to visit me in my inner space, my sisters, for example, or maybe my friends, and they can experience something of me in the space that I invite them into, a clean space, right? And I can experience something of myself in this clean space. So that's an example of love, but I digress. That's getting a little bit, I could talk a lot more about that, but it was a highlight to me because it just felt so in alignment with this likeness. And I decided to talk about it in today's video. And then one of my friends also shared with me that she wants to start the challenge, and I was really, really happy for her, and I'm really rooting for her. If she watches this video, I hope she'll know I'm talking about her. I thought I'd stalk her Instagram and like just be keeping up with her, and that sense of like companionship, like not just her, but anyone really that's trying their best to show up. It just made me feel nice. And it inspired me because she told me that she's going to do something big for herself at the end of this year just to celebrate herself. And I'm really, really rooting for her. And it inspired me to basically do something to be reminded, rather, to celebrate the little wins as I'm going. I don't have to wait for the end of the month to celebrate. I don't have to wait for the end of the 12 months to celebrate myself. But I did also get inspired to do something grand for myself at the end of these 12 months. And I hope to become someone who will plan towards that grand thing, and I will probably share what it is that I decided later, but I'll use this part of the video as an opportunity to just say, look, if you decide to try this challenge, or maybe just you are already living like a certain what you want to live like, you don't have to wait for a very long time for you to celebrate yourself. Think of something you really enjoy, really want to do, and plan towards doing it. Be deliberate and intentional about doing it for yourself. So this is like, I was inspired by what she told me that she plans to do for herself, and this is me spreading that inspiration to you. Like, think of what you want to do for yourself, if you're taking this challenge or not, and just do it. So some other highlights include attending a business models training program, but it was at the same time as this the competition that's related to my food enterprise likeness. So me and my friends entered a competition that was an online completely online international competition, and we were the only team from Zambia to participate. There were some other teams from Africa, but we did our best. It was like basically we're given a, if I didn't mention this in the previous video, we were given a case study online. We had to look at the case study, identify some problem, come up with a solution, and present it like a business idea, right? So this again aligned with the training that I was taking. And this training, I aligned it to my interior design likeness. Out of curiosity, I was like, what if I take what I'm learning here in this course and try to use it to help me monetize this interior design likeness, right? I'm doing it out of interest and because I wanted to curate my own space, right? But is there a way to monetize this, for my benefit and the benefit of my potential clients? Which brings me to yet another highlight. I got in touch with a potential client actually through a network, a colleague, and the organizer of the business models training program looked at my business idea, my startup idea related to interior design, and said, and was interacting with somebody else who may be a prospect looking for such a service, and said, I know a girl and or a lady, woman light, and suggested that I get in touch with him and he get in touch with me. And that was like, wow, I feel inspired. I know my time as spent deliberately or intentionally living as an interior designer is coming to an end, but this really gave me that push, that nudge to say, okay, I think I can try to explore my interests more and see how best I can monetize them, right? For my own personal growth and maybe even to meet the needs of others that also want intentional, creative, and unique and affordable, um, you know, uh, interior spaces. So that was a big highlight for me. But I don't know what the outcome of this discussion with this potential client could be. I just got in touch with them and we'll see what happens. But it was a highlight for me. Anyway, the highlights are taking up more of the time and I don't have much more time to talk. So I'm just going to go straight into challenges, right? I'll leave a list of the highlights maybe in the comment section of the video, not comment, what is it called? Description section of the video, or I'll try to type them up over here. But I'm just going to move on to challenges. So challenges I faced in the last 2 weeks, again, weaving this personal development experiment into daily life when there are other expectations of me has been difficult. CrossFit is still difficult. Yes, I do feel a little bit stronger. I don't think my body has changed very much, and I planned to take pictures at the beginning, how I look at the beginning of the month and then at the end of the month, and just see if there's any major difference, any significant difference, but I forgot to do that. So, oh well. That's been a challenge. And also, my interior design likeness required me to take my room apart, like really, really deconstruct the entire room and then reconstruct it. And so in that, there has been some confusion in my day-to-day life. Just getting ready for gym, even, it would be difficult for me. That was a challenge. And then also another challenge that I'm going to talk about, there are others, but I'm going to highlight this because it's been literally heavy on my heart, is anxiety. Like sometimes I would just feel like very doubtful and anxious about what's going to happen next and all that kind of thing. Like I would literally feel it in my chest and I would be like, so trying to get through the anxiety that I would experience has been a challenge, but God has been gracious and I had the opportunity to take like a 3-day, spiritual timeout, a retreat basically, and it was guided, and the guidance was just 10 out of 10 recommend. Like, guys, even if you're not Catholic, try a retreat. Go to a priest who's at least got a good track record. I know not all the priests were sensible people, just like any bunch of human beings. Not everybody. There's always bad seeds, right? But the point is, there's some really, really good priests out there who will listen to you, who will advise you, who will encourage and uplift you and share their own stories as well. So that was very uplifting for me. So working through my anxiety, that's been one of the challenges, right? But anyway, moving on. So just so that the video doesn't get too long, next week, what am I looking forward to? Well, it's the last week of my intentional time spent living as these three things, and I want to do something creative in honor of the saints that I invited into this challenge. And when I say invited, I mean like just, oh, what patronage does this saint have? And I would essentially be praying for their intercession during this period, right? In relation to whatever likeness, which I haven't done much of, actually. That's been another challenge. I have these saintly friends that I've, that Chat GPT helped me select, but my intentionality in engaging with them, learning about their lives, I haven't really done that. So this week, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to finishing strong for my CrossFit because I have like a 1 month subscription, right? So I want to know that I finished strong and I got my room back in order, thankfully, through the last 2 weeks of disorganization and chaos. So that's, I think, gonna be a boost to help me just pick up and run through the rest of the month or living as these three likenesses and get to the end feeling that I, finished strong, regardless of how inconsistent certain days were for me. And I also want to try to apply some of the knowledge from one of the readings, like one of the books that chat like AI helped me select for my CrossFit likeness, which is the Atomic Habits. And there's some information in there that I want to try to apply for this week, which basically has to do with identity. The book early on gives the explanation that we find it difficult to change habits because we are essentially pretending to be, it's like we don't even believe that we can change, but we are trying to be something else. And there's some dissonance that happens in the brain that doesn't allow us to easily make those changes because we ourselves don't believe that we have made any identity change. So I want to try to tell myself, instead of I want to do 5 days of CrossFit, the book would say, for example, instead of saying, I want to do 5 days of CrossFit this week, the book would say, change your identity, not your goals or not your behavior. Like, you know what I mean? Start with your identity. So instead, I would say, I'm an athlete. An athlete can do 5 days of CrossFit for the last week of whatever. So this is something I want to apply for the coming week. I also want to pace myself in as much as I want to finish strong. I don't want to finish burnt out. So because I have to start the new month set of things, and there is going to be some whole lot of anxious moments about that. So I want to pace myself, and I want to finish up 1 or 2 tasks related to my food science, food enterprise likeness, in the form of, for example, a business plan. So I have all these ideas. I've had this time to dedicate, and through different things that have opportunities that have come, though even though the opportunities may not pan out directly, they have gotten me thinking. So now I'm like, okay, I have all these ideas, and this opportunity, if I had a plan, it would may have pushed me closer to achieving something through this opportunity, but that wasn't the case because I didn't have a plan. But the point is not for me to ruminate on the lack of whatever it is. It's to say, okay, right now I don't have this. What can I do to have it next time a door were to open, especially a door that's so niche and in alignment? So those are some of the highlights I have, and this video ended up being about close to 15 minutes long, but I think that's okay, an achievement for me, because I really do sometimes have the gift of the gab and can talk for very long periods of time without being very coherent. So to have summarized 2 weeks worth of highlights, challenges, and things to look forward to, I think is something worth a pat on the back, as they say. So all that said, here's the part where I invite you once again to take part in the challenge. Share what you're going through, if you would like to, with me, if you would like. And also, don't forget to celebrate yourself, the small wins and the big ones at the end of the day. So yeah, I've been Yongo from Yorozuya Yoyo. Thanks for watching this week's updates on the Live Like Challenge.